14 million Americans woke up this morning, opened their kitchen cabinets and poisoned themselves before 8 a.m. Not with junk food, not with candy, with the exact foods their doctors told them to eat. One of those foods, sold in the diabetic aisle of every major pharmacy chain in this country, contains an ingredient that spikes blood sugar 40% higher than pure white table sugar. It's not listed as sugar on the label. It's not highlighted. It's not warned about. It's buried in the fine print under a name most people can't even pronounce, and it is in nearly every sugar-free product ever made for diabetics. Another food on this list, one that every single health website on earth calls a safe swap, was tested against white bread in a clinical trial, and performed so identically that the researchers essentially said there's no meaningful difference. And a third food, one marketed as nature's perfect sweetener, sold in glass bottles at Whole Foods with a leaf on the label, turned out to contain more of the exact compound that causes fatty liver disease than high fructose corn syrup does. More than corn syrup. These are not conspiracy theories. These are findings published in Nature, Cell, The Lancet, and by researchers at Stanford, Harvard, and the Weizmann Institute of Science. 7 foods, all trusted, all recommended, all doing damage. And, by the end of this video, you will know every single one of them. You will know exactly what they're doing inside your body, and you will know what to eat instead. This one's going to change your life. So let's start with the one that makes me the angriest, because it's the most deliberately deceptive, and it's sitting in your pantry right now if you've ever set foot in the diabetic aisle of a grocery store or pharmacy. Sugar-free snacks, sugar-free cookies, sugar-free chocolate, sugar-free gummy bears, all of them packaged in boxes that practically scream, "safe for you." Here's how the scam works. When a food company prints sugar-free on a label, all that means legally is that the product doesn't contain sucrose. Plain old table sugar. That's the only requirement. So they swap in a sugar alcohol called maltitol, and because maltitol isn't technically sucrose, they get to print that beautiful 0 grams of sugar on the nutrition facts panel. The problem, and this is the part that should make your blood boil, is that maltitol has a glycemic index of 52. Regular table sugar sits at 65. So maltitol delivers roughly 80% of the blood sugar impact of real sugar, but it gets to wear the costume of a safe ingredient. And it gets worse. To give these products their texture and shelf stability, companies load them with a filler called maltodextrin. Maltodextrin has a glycemic index between 85 and 105. Pure glucose, the compound that literally defines the top of the glycemic index scale, is 100, which means this filler, hiding 3/4 of the way down an ingredient list you were never supposed to read, spikes blood sugar faster than glucose itself. You could dissolve pure white sugar in a glass of water, drink it, and get a smaller spike than what that innocent-looking sugar-free cookie delivers. So what do? One habit for life. Stop reading the front of packages. Flip them over. Scan for 3 words: maltitol, maltitol syrup, maltodextrin. If any of them show up, it goes back on the shelf no matter what the front says. And if you genuinely need something sweet, 1 square of dark chocolate at 85% cacao or higher has a glycemic index below 25, and the flavonols in cacao have actually been shown in clinical research to improve blood vessel function and insulin response. You replace a food that's secretly destroying you with one that's quietly helping you. Now here's where it gets even more unsettling, because the next food on this list doesn't even pretend to have sugar in it. It has 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 carbs, and it still manages to wreck your blood sugar. Through a mechanism so strange that when scientists first discovered it, They almost didn't believe their own data. I'm talking about diet soda and artificially sweetened drinks. In 2014, a team at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel took a group of perfectly healthy volunteers, no diabetes, no metabolic problems, nothing, and gave them saccharin, the exact artificial sweetener in most diet sodas and zero-calorie drink mixes. Within 7 days, the majority of those healthy people developed glucose intolerance. Their bodies started mismanaging sugar the way a pre-diabetic's body does, in 1 week, from something with 0 sugar in it. The study, published in Nature, revealed a mechanism nobody had anticipated. Artificial sweeteners aren't absorbed into your blood the way sugar is. They pass through your entire digestive system intact and land in your large intestine, where they fundamentally restructure your gut bacteria. They feed the bacterial strains associated with poor blood sugar regulation and starve the ones that protect it. A follow-up trial published in Cell in 2022, this time a full randomized controlled trial with 120 people, confirmed it and added a chilling detail. The damage was microbiome dependent, meaning the sweeteners were literally reprogramming the bacterial ecosystem that determines how your body processes every meal you eat for the rest of the day. And the population data lines up perfectly. Daily diet soda drinkers face a 36% higher risk of metabolic syndrome than people who drink none, 36%, from a zero-sugar, zero-calorie beverage. The replacement costs you nothing. Water, sparkling water with a wedge of lemon or lime, unsweetened tea, cold water with cucumber and fresh mint. Within a few weeks of cutting artificial sweeteners, research shows your gut bacteria begin recovering. And that brings us to the single most universally recommended food swap in the entire history of diabetes advice, and one of the biggest disappointments in nutritional science. Whole wheat bread. You've heard it from doctors, from dietitians, from your family, from the internet. Switch to whole wheat. The logic sounds airtight. Whole grains, more fiber, slower digestion, better blood sugar control. Then researchers actually put it to the test, and the results were embarrassing. Commercial whole wheat bread has a glycemic index of approximately 71. White bread sits at 75. The great, universally celebrated, doctor-approved swap saves you 4 points on a scale where everything above 55 is already classified as high glycemic. Both are high. Both spike your blood sugar, and the reason is modern industrial milling. Whether the flour is white or whole wheat, factories pulverize the kernels into particles so microscopically fine that your digestive enzymes shred them on contact. The bran and germ that are supposed to make whole wheat superior get ground into nutritional dust. They still appear on the ingredient label, but inside your body they're structurally destroyed and can't slow down a thing. What actually works is bread where the grain is physically intact, pumpernickel, sprouted grain loaves, real sourdough made with long fermentation, because these force your body to do the work of breaking down the grain structure, which drops the glycemic index into the 40s and low 50s. And there's one trick from the research that costs you absolutely nothing. Freeze your bread, then toast it. When starch is frozen and reheated, the molecules rearrange into something called resistant starch, which your digestive system can't fully break down. Studies show this measurably reduces the blood sugar response to the exact same slice of bread. Freeze it, toast it, eat it with fat and protein, eggs and avocado, and you've turned a blood sugar bomb into something your body can handle. Now, if whole wheat bread is a disappointment, the next food is an outright betrayal, because it was designed from the ground up to look like the perfect diabetic sweetener, and it's arguably worse than the thing you're trying to replace. Agave nectar. It sits in a beautiful glass bottle on health food store shelves. There's a leaf on the label. It says natural and low glycemic index. It costs twice as much as regular sugar, which psychologically makes people trust it more, and it is one of the most metabolically destructive sweeteners you can consume. Agave nectar is 70 to 90% fructose. High fructose corn syrup, the ingredient that health documentaries have spent 2 decades demonizing, is 55% fructose. Agave has substantially more, and the reason its glycemic index looks so friendly, around 15 to 30, is because fructose doesn't raise blood sugar directly. It skips that entire system. Instead, fructose travels straight to your liver, where it gets metabolized through nearly the exact same biochemical pathway as alcohol. Your liver converts it into fat. Over time, that fat accumulates in the liver itself, spills over into the pancreas, coats the cells that produce insulin, and shuts them down. This is precisely the mechanism that Professor Roy Taylor at Newcastle University identified as the root cause of type 2 diabetes. Excess fat in the liver overflowing into the pancreas and disabling insulin production. So agave's low glycemic number isn't a sign of safety. It's a disguise. It doesn't spike your blood sugar today because it's too busy destroying the organ that controls your blood sugar permanently. If you need a touch of sweetness, small amounts of raw honey, which contains enzymes and antioxidants alongside its sugars, are a less damaging option. But the real long-term solution is giving your taste buds 3 to 4 weeks without added sweeteners. Research shows that your taste receptors physically recalibrate in that time, and foods that once seemed bland begin tasting genuinely satisfying on their own. The next one hides behind a word that most people associate with healthy eating, and it has been fooling diabetics since the 1980s. Low-fat yogurt, low-fat salad dressing, low-fat cheese. All of it marketed to diabetics as the smart choice, the heart-healthy option, the responsible swap. But when manufacturers remove fat from food, they face an immediate and obvious problem. It tastes awful. So they add sugar. Published data shows that non-fat yogurt contains an average of 7.68 grams of sugar per 100 grams, compared to 4.66 grams in the regular full-fat version. That's 65% more sugar hiding inside the healthier product. And when you look at flavoured low-fat yogurts, the ones with strawberry on the bottom or vanilla flavouring, the numbers become genuinely alarming. 17 to 33 grams of added sugar in a single small container, which is up to 8 teaspoons of sugar in a food most diabetics consider a safe snack or a virtuous breakfast. Meanwhile, the fat that was removed was actually working in your favour. Dietary fat slows stomach emptying, which buffers the blood sugar impact of everything else you eat alongside it. It keeps you full longer, so you eat less. And published research in JAMA found that full-fat dairy consumption is either neutral or actively protective against type 2 diabetes, while the sugared-up low-fat versions move the needle in the wrong direction. The swap is simple and tastes better. Buy plain, full-fat Greek yogurt. It has about 6 grams of naturally occurring milk sugar, 0 added sweeteners, and roughly 20 grams of protein per serving. Top it with a handful of real blueberries. A Pennington Biomedical Research Center trial showed that eating blueberries daily improved insulin sensitivity by 22% in just 6 weeks. And add half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, which a 90-day clinical trial demonstrated lowers your 3-month blood sugar average by nearly a full percentage point. You've replaced a sugar bomb with something that actively fights the disease. Now, this next one is personal for a lot of people because it feels so natural, so wholesome, so obviously healthy, that questioning it almost seems ridiculous. fruit juice, and its trendier cousin, the store-bought smoothie. An 8-ounce glass of orange juice delivers 22 grams of sugar, close to 6 teaspoons, with a glycemic index as high as 66. And because the fibre has been completely stripped away during juicing, there is absolutely nothing left to slow that sugar down. It hits your bloodstream and your liver like a wave. Now here's what makes this so frustrating. A whole orange contains roughly the same natural sugar, but it's locked inside a fibre matrix that forces your body to extract it slowly over hours. That fibre is the entire difference between a fruit that helps you and a liquid that hurts you. The moment you juice it, you destroy the matrix, and what was a safe food becomes a sugar delivery system indistinguishable from soda in terms of speed of absorption. Store-bought smoothies are even more deceptive because they wear the disguise of health, pictures of fresh fruit, words like natural and no added sugar on the label, while packing 40 to 60 grams of sugar from concentrated fruit purees into a single bottle. Diabetes UK recommends limiting fruit juice to 150 millilitres per day, which is barely half a standard glass, but most people pour 2 or 3 times that amount every single morning. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. Eat your fruit whole and stop drinking it. A whole orange has a glycemic index around 40. A handful of whole blueberries sits in the low 30s. Your body knows exactly what to do with fruit when the fibre is intact. And finally, the newest and in some ways sneakiest trap of all, gluten-free products. The gluten-free market has exploded into a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a growing number of diabetics have been pulled into it by the vague, persistent belief that removing gluten is automatically healthier. The clinical research says the opposite. A study published in Nutrients found that over 60% of commercially available gluten-free breads have a high glycemic index, with many exceeding 70 and some reaching 95. The reason is straightforward. Gluten is a protein, and it's the protein that gives bread its structure. When you remove it, you have to replace it with something that holds the product together, and that something is almost always tapioca starch, potato starch, or white rice flour. Ultra-refined carbohydrates that convert to glucose in your bloodstream almost instantly. Arizona State University researchers confirmed that gluten-free products frequently contain more added sugar and more fat than their gluten-containing equivalents, while delivering less fibre and less protein. And Stanford's own review concluded that unless you have been clinically diagnosed with celiac disease or a true gluten sensitivity, going gluten-free provides zero metabolic advantage. And for diabetics specifically, the switch often makes blood sugar control measurably worse. Unless a doctor has told you that you need to avoid gluten, you are far better off with steel-cut oats, quinoa, or real sourdough than anything in the gluten-free aisle. So there they are, 7 foods, every one of them trusted, every one of them recommended, every one of them working against the very people they were supposedly designed to help. And the pattern behind all 7 is identical. The food industry isolates one narrow claim, prints it in bold on the front of a package, and bets everything on the fact that you will never turn that package around and read what's actually inside. Starting today, that bet loses. Go through your kitchen this week. Check every sugar-free product for maltitol and maltodextrin. Replace your diet soda with water and lemon. Swap your commercial whole wheat bread for sprouted grain, or start freezing and toasting what you already have. Throw out the agave. Buy plain, full-fat Greek yogurt and top it yourself. Eat your fruit whole. And unless you have celiac disease, leave the gluten-free bread on the shelf. None of this requires a prescription. None of it costs more money. Most of it costs less. And every single word of it is backed by published research from the most respected scientific institutions on Earth. Your blood sugar is not random. It is a direct response to what you feed your body. And right now, it has been responding to foods that were lying to you. That ends today. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because the packaging is never going to tell them the truth. You just did.